What's up, guys? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. So on our TikTok and Instagram, I've been posting a lot of content talking about the importance of data and the many different uses that you can use data for your marketing. So I'm not an expert, right? And the questions you guys have, I have too. So I figured I would bring in Shawn Burst, our CEO, and we'll talk about data today.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So just kind of introduce data. Like, why is data so relevant to marketing?
Well, because data, when you look at it as a business, the data symbolizes a person, right? So you're doing business with people, and so in a perfect world, if you understand who your customer is, right? There's a certain type of customer, a certain age, a certain income, a certain demographic. That's like the very basic stuff. If you get an email of theirs, you get a phone number. But when you really start to understand data, you think about it like this. There are people walking in your business every day, and they fit this profile, right? And so it's kind of like when you go fishing. You have like all these different tactics, and you have these fishing poles and this bait and all that. You can fish on the top, you can fish on the bottom, you can all these little things that you do. But the most important thing when you're going fishing is, hey, are the fish there, right? And so data, once you understand data and you understand who your perfect customer is, then there are resources like us that you can go to find a list of those people, right? And if you understand the data and you understand who your target customer is, it's going to create efficiencies all down the supply chain, right? From marketing and advertising to reaching people to leads to shopping cart transactions. The more you can pinpoint in on the customer that's more likely to understand and want your service, then that's going to allow your marketing dollars to go further, because a higher percentage of those people are going to convert than if you just went, and we call it a shotgun approach, right? If you just say, hey, I'm just going to go on Facebook, I'm going to target these zip codes, and I'm just going to throw a big net out there, and that big net is going to catch some fish. But it's not the most efficient way to catch the fish, right? The most efficient way is if you understood where those people were, and you just sent a message directly to them, and you only included them in your audience. Now what you've done is you're taking those impressions or those number of people, and you've narrowed it down to the ones who are most probable going to be interested in your product or service. And we know that because on all of us, there's something called there's an identity graph, right? When in the data world, there's this identity graph. And what is an identity graph, Shawn? An identity graph is basically a profile of hundreds of millions of Americans, and it has everything from your name, your postal address, your email address, your phone number, your mobile ad ID. The mobile ad ID, every one of our phones has a mobile ad ID. It knows what credit cards I have, what magazine subscriptions, do I have pets, do I have kids, do I spend money on this nonprofit, do I vote for this party. All of that data on all of us is readily available. And so once you start to understand what a profile looks like, right? You get 100, you get 1,000, you get 10,000. At 100 customers, you can get a pretty good peek into who it is, right? At 1,000, man, that's a much more solid description of who your customer is. At 10,000, as you build this data up, those tendencies or those attributes begin to pop out, right? And you start to notice things, and you understand that, hey, it's this demographic of these people that do these certain things, that have these certain hobbies. Those are the people that seem to be coming in. So let's just focus on those people, because we already know we have a connection with them. We can tell stories about those people. We understand their wants and needs because they're kind of under the same profile. So that's why it's so important, because, if you think about it, you have a business. Let's just say, you start a business. At some point, people usually want to sell their business, right? So it not only, I like to call it the hunting, or you got to look at your business. You got to eat today. So how does this help me? How does this help my business to be more successful today? But then also, by doing this, I like to call it the farmer. Farmers plant their crop, and at some point the crop produces, right? that's kind of the way you have to look at data, capturing data, because a certain amount of that data is going to convert, allowing you to eat today, right? You're hunting that data. But as a byproduct of hunting, you're going to get a lot of this other people that they really weren't ready yet, right? And so now these records go into your database, and now you're able to communicate with them, right? Data is a word we use, but it's really a person, right?
Right. So let's back up just a little bit, because in my eyes, the biggest things, especially for someone who's not as experienced with keeping record of all of this. So not only is it more difficult to grasp this concept of data, if they're looking at their target as this big thing. And we've talked about this multiple times before.
Yeah.
So kind of explain the importance of segmenting out your target and using that data to create their ideal customer. Because in my opinion, that is a big part of getting started. You have to know exactly the type of customer that you want to attract.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the way we do that is, in the data world, you have a list of people. We would segment and put those into different buckets, right? Let's just say, we had a group of customers, and all these people have purchased from us before, but then we want to go back and market to them. One of the ways we use data is we understand what they purchased, right? In your CRM or in your shopping cart, you can segment those people by what they bought. And it becomes much more effective if you're marketing to those people specific to what their needs are, right? So specific to what they purchase, specific to what's interested, because that's called personalization. And the more you can personalize a message or an offer, hey, even using first name and last name, being able to talk to someone like that, that's better than them getting just a innocuous ad that they don't know if it was targeted to them or not, right?
Right. And then it just feels so automated and personal. Like,
yes.
That's not going to make me want to buy something of your product
No.
or be a repeat customer.
Yes.
And guys, how do we know all this information on them? Because we've collected the data.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that, there's a couple of ways for people that are just getting started. Well, I don't have any data, so I need to get started. Well, we can help with that, as well as there's a lot of data providers that can work with you to build your perfect avatar. Assuming it's your perfect ad, you don't really know until you get running, but you can really hedge your bets. And so, sitting with us, identifying that perfect avatar, and then starting with a list. You can purchase a list from data providers like us or other data providers. So, and then if it's your existing customers, man, that's where all the gold is, right? And so in your communication strategy, we like to say you get them in the boat, you get them to interact with your brand. Now there's a relationship going on. Right now, we sent a message out there, you communicated with us. Now we're talking to each other, right? Now when you start talking to each other, there's a relationship. There's more intimacy there. There's now you start to build on this data, right? One of the ways we build on the data is we like to use surveys, right? And we think about our surveys like, what is some valuable information that we're going to be able to know about Shannon, about our customers that we then can use in the marketing, right? It's like this cycle. You collect data, you get more insights. That insight goes into your marketing. Your marketing gets more personalized. The more personalized it gets, the more relevant it is. The more relevant it is, the more that people are going to respond. So when you think about this, it's only the beginning of the life cycle, and this never stops, right? We always want to make sure a couple of things. The data is hygiene, right? How do we do it? We think best practices are once a month or once a quarter. You take your data list and you run it through what's called a hygiene, right? And so we take that name, we run it through our NCOA and CAS certification, which is a certification with the Postal Service, to make sure they still live where you think they live, right? So if you're using...
So that's just like cleaning the data.
Cleaning the data, yes. So that way, let's just say you want to pull your list down and you want to send a direct mail piece out to them. Well, man, printing and postage, can cost 75 cents, $1, 50 cents. You want to make sure that's always current, right? Same thing with email validations. People change emails. So we're emailing, validating our emails. So you start collecting the data, and then you make sure you take care of that data, because that data becomes an asset to somebody coming to look at buying your business. You want to go borrow money. You want to go raise money. Like, that's one of the main things they're going to look at is, let me see, how many people do you have in your database and how often are they buying? That's going to play a big part in how your business is valued.
So it seems to me like data is kind of like at the core, especially
It's
when
the
you're
foundation.
So it's the foundation of marketing.
Yes.
So guys, you hear that? I mean, I know when I hear the word data,
Yeah.
I am automatically thinking about numbers, and I'm just like, ooh, like who wants to talk about data?
Yeah.
But when you're thinking of it, like Shawn said, like as a person,
yeah,
it makes it a whole lot easier, right? And so actually this is the other day, Shawn was meeting with a client and I heard one of the first questions he asked, okay, so who's bought this product so far?
Right.
And to me, that was really insightful because just hearing that these are real conversations that we have every day and looking at that and analyzing it and knowing that, okay, you might not have this now, but the sooner you start collecting this, making your surveys, creating your list, it's going to be a whole lot easier.
Oh yeah, this is it. Listen, it should be fun too, man. And there's all kind of tactics for businesses on, you purchase data, but let's just say you have a brick and mortar, right? You have a restaurant or a retail operation. Man, it's so many businesses that I walk into that have no process in place on how, and listen, some store owners and some business owners, I think it gets hard because they, what I gather is that they don't know how to do it in a tasteful way that's not going to make the customer be like, man, why is these people asking me for this, right? But there's all kind of more passive strategies that you can implement into your business in subtle touches, like in a restaurant. When you put your menus out, you just have a little flyer, a little card inside there with a QR code that just says, hey, listen, we would, you're a valued customer of ours. So it's a real passive. It's not somebody aggravating your customers, but, some businesses, you can integrate it into the meet and greet process. Hey, we have this thing. Listen, our customers love this thing because it's going to do whatever it does with their loyalty program. So, the tactics on how to do this, there's a million of them, right? Depending on what your business is.
I mean, just today I went to go buy a smoothie from Main Squeeze right down the road, and I gave them a number, so I signed up, so I get points, right? So every time I go get a smoothie, I get points added.
Yeah.
Well, after I buy the smoothie, it texts me like 10 minutes later. And it's just like, hey, Shannon, like, fill out the survey, let us know how we did. And I do it because I get more points. Right. And it's real subtle. It's not, it doesn't blow up your phone. And if anything, it's offering me.
See, that's perfect.
So I'm more inclined to do it.
Yeah.
And that is a perfect way for them to get that data.
It's so perfect.
And feedback.
Yeah, because listen, I know there's some apps that, I think there's one called maybe Podium that, when you leave, they send you a text message, but there's a link to their Google review. So while you just had a good experience, those things that's leveraging your data and your communication strategy in a smart way to cover a lot of ground and to make sure that every interaction counts with your customers. Think about how impactful that was today. You went and got this thing, you received a text message, they probably asked you to give them feedback, they ask you a survey question. So in a subtle way, that business is doing just what we talked about. You're serving you up surveys. Why are they serving you up the surveys? Because they're trying to get to know you better. Because guess what? The more they know, the more personalized it's going to be, the happier you're going to be. It's called in the marketing world, you see, before you get to know someone and before you go through these processes, it's very hard to anticipate what someone's going to want. But when you really get this dialed in, you're able to anticipate based on the data that you have what's going to happen next, right? And customers love when you anticipate things for them because they think it's like this serendipitous moment where the universe aligned and like, here it is with this coupon, but it's really just people understanding the science of marketing, the science of persuasion, and they're implementing that into the program in an effective way. And you can move, that's what we do. We move people to act through the written and spoken word.
So it's kind of like they're being slightly transparent.
Yes.
Like they're asking me, the consumer, and I'm a repeat customer.
Yep.
Hey, you mind filling this out? Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like that's super smart. It's subtle and they're being transparent. So it's humanizing them as a company.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, it's happening all around us. And, and when I go into a business, once you understand this, like I like pay attention in every business, like, man, they blowing a chance. And sometimes I'll talk to them and say, hey, but I don't want to be like, man, who's this guy? This know-it-all guy. So I don't butt my nose in their business all the time. But sometimes I just can't resist. I'm like, man, if you just did this, this, and this, man, it would do this, this, and this. And it's like that everywhere. And hey, all of these things, you can go find all this information. Nothing that we're telling you is novel or new or, groundbreaking. But I think what happens is, as a small business, just because I'm a small business owner also, man, you have all these things that you're juggling, and it's like, how do I get to this, man? I don't understand the data. Listen, man, anybody here, whether you're doing business with us or not, you can reach out to us through social media. We'll schedule a call and we'll help you with some of this, some of this stuff. But I think what it amounts to is what I've found this might be the most important part of your entire business, or one of the most important components. Man, get intentional about this. Like, understand that you're helping your future, and you're fast tracking the process by paying attention to this. And you just got to decide, like, however painful it is, get in and, use resources like us, go do research, watch YouTube videos. Man, I can't tell you how important this is. And everywhere I go, people, like, not only small businesses, we work with some of the biggest companies in the world. I mean, literally, I'm on the phone with some of the biggest companies, and some of the even biggest companies, they're missing the boat on this just because they just don't understand the way it works. And it's just scientific. It's just the way that it works.
Right.
And hey, let's say you have a 5,000 customers in your database and you just close that business down. Guess what? Those people, if you decide to open another business, man, that's a starting off point for you with a new business. I can't tell you, I can't preach to the choir enough. I can't beat it over the head. It is the single most important thing when you're building a business. If you can understand this first, it's going to make your life so much easier.
Yeah. Preach.
I'm preaching, man. That's it.
Well, guys, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to DM us. Reach out.
Yeah.
We've already helped a lot of clients just through DM. So reach out to us, ask us questions. We'd love to conversate with you.
Yeah, we can walk you through it. Listen, we'll give you step-by-step things. If you think it would be helpful, in the comments, like when we do these things, we could start releasing like a PDF or a blog post afterwards. Just reach out to us, man. We want to help. Our passion is to help small businesses, and we have some really exciting things coming up later on this year. We're going to be launching, a marketing platform for small businesses, and that the world hasn't seen up until this point, man. So it's real exciting. We want to help as many businesses as we can. That's what we're here to do, and don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, follow us on all of our social platforms, guys. It's just at Marketing Box Social.